Yeah, these are nice. My parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, so I grew up under that religion, and it's very strict. I kind of started this double life internally where I was working for something I didn't really believe in, and so I started getting really good at lying. My college experience overall was a lot of searching and trial and error. I had all the freedom in the world, and I took advantage of it. I was very confused at different parts throughout college because I didn't understand why I couldn't shake the regret and guilt I would have after doing something that everyone else was doing. It wasn't working, and I knew that. Deep down, I knew it wasn't working, but I didn't want to change it.
8 years ago, it was something like 20% of millennials would say that they had no religious affiliation, and now in 2015, 30% of my generation say that they have no religious association. There's a deep longing for truth, and people don't even know that they're searching for it, or they don't know what it is. We live in a world where the media and our friends and what we see on the street tell us who we are and what's important and what we should be searching after and what life's about. And the only place that people are going to get real truth is from the church. There are voices and things that are getting louder and louder around us that we have to continue as the church to be louder and louder to come up against. Why would we not try to put a church in the front yard of anybody and anywhere that we could? It is vitally important that we figure out how to start growing those leaders and people who are going to bring their friends and their neighbors and their families to Jesus now in this millennial generation, or the church will die. And that terrifies me and makes me really sad and really angry, and I don't want to see that happen.
I came here reluctantly for a job. I remember thinking the first couple months, oh, I made a horrible mistake. And one of my friends, he asked if I went to church, if I was religious. I mean, I go to church sometimes, and tried to play it off, when your parents ask you to and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, you should come to church with me. I go to Crossroads. It's actually a really different experience. I think you would like it. And I was like, man, I don't want to go to church, but I also need friends. It felt like I was the only one in the auditorium. The message resonated with me that much. And I was like, wow, I've never experienced that at church before. Never. And so I kept coming back. My friend was like, hey, one of my friends, she's trying to kick off this thing on the UC campus. I know you're pretty passionate about that and helping college students. You should come to that service. And so I went. And they're like, oh, and it's in a bar too, so you should feel right at home. And I'm like, all right, that's different. Again, it was just an amazing experience, to see that many college students still trying to have a connection with God. I'm like, man, I really wish I would have had this when I was in college.
Oh, I believe so deeply that multi-site works and that it will continue to work for generations. I'm seeing lives changed in Uptown and in Mason and in Florence and on the West Side. People need a church home where they can grow and they can be challenged and they can be in community, and they can hear about God in a language they can understand in their own neighborhood.
I got baptized when Bogarts had their first rounds of baptisms back in the spring. I thought it was funny because I'm like, I'm getting baptized in a bar, which is potentially definitely where I started making bad decisions in college. So it was a really kind of full circle moment. What makes me so excited about everything that's going on with Old St. George and having Crossroads have that kind of a presence on the UC campus and in the Clifton area in general. I know that Crossroads has a message for them that will change completely the experience they could have. I wish I got that message. I think it would have changed everything.
For our next multi-site location, we don't really know. I mean, we would love to go to the east side, but we just don't know what God's going to do there yet. We are always going to go where God's moving, point blank. We'd love for that to be the east side, but we're not sure. The awesome thing is with the new Crossroads Anywhere app, it's going to give us the ability to be able to see where God's moving.
I couldn't even imagine not supporting it. How could I not support something that has changed my life so drastically? I'm Jasmine, and I'm in.